Welcome back, y'all, and happy Friday. Brand, I will not be going live today, but we will be putting out this video, just giving you kind of like a primer and a breakdown on the matchup between us and UCLA. So we're going to be playing them tomorrow night at 9:40. And they played last night at about that time. Tennessee played about 3 hours earlier. It's not going to make a huge difference, but it does make somewhat of a difference. Also, with them being on West Coast time, their body's probably going to be more acclimated to playing at this time. But either way, I think the Tennessee can win this game for sure. Every matchup from this point forward, we all know they're all going to be tough. This will be a tough matchup. UCLA is good. They will present some problems to Tennessee. But what I like about this matchup is that we can win it with our defense. It's something that Tennessee does a very good job of. We're going to have to be on point with it, and we will kind of get to some of the things that concern me with this matchup as we go throughout this video. But please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, y'all, we're going to start with the overall team matchup stuff, and we're going to kick it off with points. Tennessee's averaging 74.7 points per game. UCLA is averaging 74.8, so that's about even. As far as what the defenses are doing with the points, Tennessee's holding teams to 63 points per game. They're holding teams to 65.7. Like we just talked about, I think Tennessee's defense could win us this game. Rebounds, really big right here. Tennessee's winning 36.6 to 32.7. That's about 4 more rebounds a game for Tennessee. Once we get into the lineups and look at the sizes, you will understand why that is. UCLA's starting lineup is going to be pretty small, especially with their front court. Now, on to assists. They're averaging 16.3. We're at 15.5. They do a good job of moving the basketball. I'm telling you, they've got a lot of guys that can shoot. They've got a lot of guys that can get to the basket. And again, they move it very well. So we're going to have to make sure that we're closing out, playing good team defense and all of that, which we typically do. Steals, they're averaging 8.1 per game. We're averaging 6.9. Now, we know that Tennessee's got a very good defense, right? But their defense is also good, especially at getting turnovers. They are consistently trying to get that basketball. So our guards had to first and foremost take care of it. I'm glad that Zizi's coming off of a game with 0 turnovers. He needs to keep on doing that. And all the other guards, they just need to don't be careless with that basketball. But the same thing for Tennessee's bigs. Whenever we're driving or, if we're working with our back to the goal, working down, in that post, they will send their guards down there to try to get to the ball, make us pick up dribbles and all of that. So we got to watch out for it. We have to be very, very careful in transitions and just everywhere because they are looking to steal the basketball. That's how they manufacture a lot of their points. Now on to blocks. We're averaging 5. They're averaging 3. Turnovers, we're averaging 10.5. They're averaging 10.6, so pretty even right there. Free throws, we're at 74.3. They're at 70.3. So very close there. Obviously with us being, I would say that we are better, obviously, in this category. But I think that it's enough to make an impact on this game. As long as we're locked in at the free throw line. It's something else that I've talked about several times. Tennessee has got to hit our free throws. With the way that they play defense, they're going to foul us. Okay, I think that we could be into the bonus pretty early, especially if we, take care of the basketball. They're going to be swiping their arm, swiping their face, swiping their neck, shoulders, all of that. That's what we need to do. We just got to knock down our free throws whenever we do get our opportunities. Next is field goal percentage. Tennessee's at 45.5%. They're at 46.6. And then we have three-point percentage. Tennessee's at 34. They're at 35.2. So one of the things that I want to point out right here with UCLA, they are a good three-point shooting team. They've got 8 guys that are shooting over 30%. Tennessee technically has 6, but one of them is Felix. So it's really only 5. But they can shoot, but they don't shoot as many threes as Tennessee does. I think that Tennessee has 161 more threes shot, and we've made 47 more than UCLA has. So we have to do a really good job of closing out. We can't leave people wide open. I don't think that we have to overhelp as much, okay, especially just because they are going to be smaller with their starting lineup. So that should help Tennessee out so that we can stay on, the guards and things like that that are really good at shooting the threes. But even still, their entire starting lineup, they can all shoot threes. They will stretch that floor out, and it's something that Tennessee struggle with. So I wouldn't be too surprised at the end of the day if Tennessee maybe works a little bit more like Iggy playing at 5. Maybe you put in D-Stone at the 4, and, our regular guards outside of that. I could see us kind of running maybe a smaller lineup in some situations if Felix is showing that he's not doing a good job of, going out, of going outside and then having to come back inside whenever the players are driving on him. That could be a problem. That could be a place that I think that UCLA could expose Tennessee some. But let's get on to the rest of these numbers. And this is how our lineup looks compared to UCLA's. Let's focus on the starters first. And I want to look at Tyler Bilodeau, right? Listed at 6'9", 230 pounds. I think he's shooting threes at like 40%. That's the highest on their team. He doesn't shoot a whole lot of them, though. He's only shot like 86 or 89 over the course of this year. But he can do a whole lot of different things, like we just talked about. That could be maybe a little bit of a problem for Felix, but Felix is taller, so maybe he can slow him down. If Felix slows him down, then Tennessee should, I think that we should be able to win this game by, 10 or more points. It shouldn't be relatively close. But if Felix starts to struggle, that's where Tennessee might, we might get into a little bit of trouble. We might have to put Iggy on number 34, and then we'd obviously have to bring in one more guard off of the bench, more than likely, so that we can match up with the rest of their star lineup, because all of these guys are really good athletes, and it really only gets even better. So Eric Daly, 6'8", he's a guard slash forward. He can bang. Him versus Iggy. Iggy is taller than he is, but I think that Eric Daly is a much better athlete. He's going to be a tough cover, I believe, for Iggy. But if he's up to the task, just like we talked about, if our front court steps up, Tennessee's going to be in great shape in this game. Now let's talk about Kobe Johnson, 6'6". I don't know if Mayshak's going to be guarding him. I think you might want to put Chaz on him. Chaz is at 6'5", so it makes sense from that perspective. And Chaz has been playing really good defense. Now, Kobe Johnson, he can get to the basket, but he's more of a shooter. So he wants to shoot more. That would probably be better for Chaz. That's a guy that he probably won't, have to foul too much, things like that. He won't have to run around too much with him. Obviously, he's going to have to run some, but it won't be as much, hey, you got to cover this guy driving to the basket over and over and over again. So I think that maybe that's what Tennessee would try to do. And then I think that Shaq would maybe be guarding Scott Clark, 6'3". He is explosive. Okay, he can get to the basket. He can shoot. I think that, Shaq's going to definitely be able to shut him down. And then we got ZZ on Dylan Andrews. He's 6'2". We all know that ZZ is a little bit shorter, plays a lot bigger than that. But I think that he's going to, play very, very well versus Dylan Andrews. Now, the thing about UCLA, I haven't watched every single one of their games, but the way that Utah State played them last night, they're not going to get as many open looks. Okay, we're going to play them a lot tighter. We're going to play them a lot harder. But on the flip side, I think that they will also play us tighter and harder than Wofford did. That's typically how things go. It's just going to get, more and more competitive as we go throughout the tournament. But I like how our start lineup could potentially match up versus theirs. Now let's talk about the bench play. They've got, again, several guys that can shoot. You see really good size right there, number 10. He's a guy, he can definitely shoot. He's a very, very good shooter, and he has good height. Now, the next player is going to be their center, 7'3". I think his last name is pronounced Mara, but he's good. I don't think that he's too much for us to have to worry about. Now, it'll be interesting how this whole thing looks, because like we just talked about, would Tennessee potentially want to kind of switch up the way that we're bringing players in? Will we maybe want to, see Felix versus Morrow whenever he comes in? Or will we just kind of like want to leave things as it stands and let Cade Phillips go to work on him? I actually think that Cade could play really good defense versus him. I think that Cade will play very good defense versus him. He's not the toughest guy. I'm not gonna call him soft or nothing, but I just think that Cade could out physical him, and that should definitely slow him down. So outside of that, man, it's just pretty much a whole bunch of guards for their team, which is something that teams need a lot of in tournament play. The more guards you have, or really, the better that your guards play, it could help you out. But I just think that from top to bottom, this is a pretty good matchup for Tennessee. Now let's take a look at how both teams are scoring, and we'll start off with Dylan Andrews averaging 7.1 points per game, and ZZ's at about 13.8. I think that might have went down to 13.7. Scott Clark averaging 8 points per game. Chaz, he's up to 18 points per game at this point. It was 17.7 before last night, where he dropped 29 points, almost 30. So obviously, man, if Chaz comes out and gives us anything close to that, if he can give us, I'm going to say 20 points, Tennessee, that should put us in a very, very good spot, because I feel good about what the rest of our guards are doing. They just seem very confident, and they are comfortable scoring. So Kobe Johnson averaging 8.1 points per game. We see that Mayshak up to 6 points per game. I think he might be up to 6.1 at this point. Eric Daly, 11.6 points per game. Going to be a tough cover, like we talked about, for Iggy, who's averaging 9.9 points per game at this point. But, that's very close to 10. Either way, if Iggy can slow down what Eric Daly does, and if Iggy can give us, I think this is a game that Iggy needs to give us about 15. He's going to have to step up. If Iggy can do that for us, we are in a tremendous spot, okay? He's going to, offense and defense needs to step up, and he definitely needs to go out and get as many rebounds as he possibly can. I want to see him fighting for those rebounds. All right, next, Tyler Bilodeau, 13.8 points per game to Felix, 7.3. We're seeing what they're doing from the bench. So actually, right here, number 12, Mac, averaging 10 points per game. And then the big guy, Mara, he's averaging 6.3 points per game. So, yeah, I mean, they've got a pretty good bench. But we also have Jordan Gainey. He's averaging 11.4 points coming off of the bench. So, again, like I keep on saying, I feel good about this matchup. We just got to come in locked in and focused. All right, y'all. This is the last thing that we'll look at. Okay, this is from ESPN.com. I just want for y'all to be able to see all of the stats. Okay, so whatever you want to look at, you can pause. You can look at it right here, right now. So you can see all of the team leaders for UCLA up at the top. One of the biggest things that I was focusing on is how their guards are getting rebounds, because I could just tell in watching them play, they fight for them. Tennessee's going to fight for them. I just wanted to know how those numbers kind of measured up. So we see that Kobe Johnson, he's averaging 6 per game. Sky Clark is at 2.8. And Dylan Andrews, he's at 1.5. Eric Daly, he's really more of a 4, like we talked about, 4.1. So, 2.2, 1.9. So it's definitely, if you look at it, okay, just looking at this on paper, it's not better than Tennessee's. I think that our guards are doing a better job. I think that we will ultimately do a better job of getting rebounds in this game. Hopefully that is the case. You can also pay attention to the 3-point, shooting and all of that. So we've got, like we talked about, Tyler Bilodeau. He's at 40%. That's the highest on their team. But whenever you come down here and look at the actual numbers, you can see that he's only shot 39 threes, or I'm sorry, 89 threes over the course of the season. They have 3 guys over 100 threes. So Kobe Johnson, Scott Clark, and then Dylan Andrews. Those are players that we definitely have to close out on and focus on, not letting them shoot as many threes. But if you look at Tennessee, compared to them, number one, we can look at how we are rebounding. Our guards are a lot more consistent, right? Like we've got 3 guards right up at the top, averaging over 3 rebounds per game. And, all of our guys, Meshack, he's at 4 per game. So that looks really good to me, just as far as the consistency. Looking at how Tennessee looks as a 3-point shooting team, doesn't look like, obviously, there's not as many that's over 30%. But whenever you come down here and look at the volume that Tennessee shoots with compared to what UCLA does, we have 4 guys that have shot over 100 threes over the course of this season. And Chaz, he's probably doubling up, their highest 3-point shooters. So yes, we shoot more threes. It's going to be important that Tennessee hits those threes on a pretty consistent basis. But the way that Chaz is playing, I feel very, very confident with this entire matchup. Not just Chaz, but all of our guards need for our bigs to have a really big night. I think that they will. Iggy's probably got to step up more than anybody, but it could also be a situation where, hey, maybe Felix gives you a little bit more consistency working in that post. Maybe he can go to work. If that happens, either way, I feel good about where Tennessee's sitting at. This is a game that we can win. Every matchup from this point forward will be tough, but I think that we are in a really good spot, and I am expecting victory. I'm expecting that it's going to be close. I think it's going to be tough. If we can limit turnovers, we're going to be fine. Okay, that's probably the biggest thing. Limit turnovers. We don't want to get into early foul trouble either. That's something else for us to watch out, especially with our bigs. But it probably wouldn't be as big of a deal if our bigs get into that early foul trouble in this game, because we can play small, because they typically, are playing more small ball than anything else. So that's it for me. Those are my thoughts. Please share yours with me down in the comments section. Do you feel confident about Tennessee versus UCLA coming up tomorrow night? Or do you have more concerns that maybe we voiced in this video today? But as always, y'all, please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Peace.